I was like, it really has happened. Texas is all they'll ever remember. How much do you remember of England?
Decent amount.
You're going to have to go deeper.
Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you want me to remember?
How much do you remember?
I remember going to school there. I remember where we lived. I remember...
Do you remember, like, friends you had?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to ACC TALK. We're so glad that you joined us today. My name is Jarrell.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Dave.
Oh, yeah.
I've just blown out
I forgot that
Jarrell's audio.
I forgot that I had multiple responsibilities on this. That's Dave. And that's Rob. Yeah. One-man band here. Hey, we are so glad that you joined us today. We have a question for you guys.
Why don't you just be honest? You have a question.
I do have a question.
You have a question. Why are you putting that on us? I'm not sure I want to be associated with this question.
You don't want to... Oh,
what
he's
is
still
your
there.
concern with this question?
He's always putting us in it, though. That's what I mean. It's like, you never know what he's going to ask.
You don't. It's true.
Flying solo.
If he wants all the attention of the camera, I'm going to give it to him.
All right. I do have a question for you. Just me. I'm the only person who wants to know. Right now, in the comments, we want you to tell us if you have been watching any good TV shows. All right? Now, we're going to hold the word good in very loose connotations, but anything that you're like worth shouting out. Dave?
This Saturday, I watched the, what is it, Varsity Blues scandal documentary on Netflix. It's about the college admissions scandal where the rich people paid a bunch of money to get their kids into school. And it was good. It was interesting. I'd never seen this in a documentary before, but they actually, so they have like all these phone calls recorded, and what they did is they had actors like actually act out the phone calls. And normally, like if you just told me that, I would have been like, that's going to be terrible. But it works well. I enjoyed it.
What did you learn new about it? Like, what did the documentary like?
So it's very interesting. So if you have $50 million, you can probably get your kid into any school that you want, no matter what.
50 million. We're gonna go.
That surprised you?
We're gonna go for the. You need to study real hard.
It didn't surprise me, but it was new information. Like I never really thought about it before. But if you donate $50 million to a college, they will put your child into their school.
I think I know a cheaper way.
So this is what we call the back door. And so what this guy was doing was he had these little things called side doors, where for the low amount of $500,000, you can get your kid into one of these schools. And so it's interesting. It's economics, trying to figure out when there is such a disparity, someone's going to come in and fill the gap, and it's crazy. It was interesting though.
I know of a cheaper way.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, you could just study.
But that's actually not true. Not true. You may not get into the school that you want.
Well, considering that $50 million isn't an option, that's
I mean, my response
take.
is just find a school. It doesn't matter. Nobody has asked me where my degree came from. So
it really does. A lot of degrees doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
I mean, there's a few that maybe the school matters, but for a lot of things, it doesn't really matter at all.
I think for like, if you're going for your law degree, that matters.
Sure.
It's gonna determine what kind of job you get afterwards. But I can't think of anything else. Like I have a buddy, or someone I went to college with, who is a doctor, and he's a practicing doctor in the United States, but he could not get into any medical school in the U.S. And so he went to medical school in Puerto Rico, but I don't think any of his patients asked him where he got his medical degree. So if it works,
I'm going to start asking. Where did you get your degree from? Yeah, I'm a pass. All right.
Got it online.
Roberto?
I think Dave and I definitely are different people because when it comes to TV, I want to be able to just watch TV and not have to really think too much. So it's usually either sports or it's some kind of show that's just like action. I just want some blowing up, shooting, beating up stuff, like just kind of relaxed for me.
I'm with you. I will also watch these things.
So documentaries aren't really my thing.
Drell's
And,
messing with the cameras over here. I don't know what's going on.
you would think it was set up ready to go.
Yeah, you would think.
You would think.
You would think.
So, but I love action movies, and so when that new show Equalizer came on, I loved both the. Well, I'm not saying they're great movies or anything. Remember, loosely good.
Hey, I'll say this: very enjoyably watched.
So
I enjoyed the watching.
Started watching that new one with Queen Latifah. It passes my time, and there's enough action in it that I'm like, I'll watch it again. So.
This is funny. I just thought about last night. We were just scrolling through Netflix, and Netflix recommended a show to me that I thought, I'll just watch it, see what it was, and it's called American Bible Trivia. And Jeff Foxworthy is the host, and they have Kirk Franklin leading the choir over on the side, just because it's the worst show I've ever seen in my life.
I feel like Netflix is just throwing out money.
You want a show? You can have a show.
Trying to figure it out.
At one point, there was a point where once you got the question right, but in order to get the points from getting the question right, you had to flip a fork into a cup. That was like for real something that they did. And it looked like they had the answers were stickers on like a cup that I had, like just a regular cup. It wasn't even like, it was the worst production I've ever seen in my life. And these stickers looked like they had gone to Office Depot and been like, hey, let's find some of those stickers that we can print off of our computer. It was really bad.
If you had to go on a game show, which game show would you guys want to go on?
Hold on, Rob. You can't just.
Hey, I just get to ask my own questions.
No. We have to finish. And we also have to know if you guys have any deals. We'll go for your question. We'll go. Oh man, WandaVision is so good.
Oh, WandaVision is good.
Oh my gosh,
that is good. That's true. I'd forgotten about that.
I'm not gonna say I'm gonna recommend it, but it's great. I like it.
Yeah.
And so Josie, who watched zero Marvel stuff, maybe she would accompany me to a film in the last 10 years. So she probably watched like one or two. She liked WandaVision so much that I convinced her to watch basically the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now she's roped in. And so we're excited for all the new Disney Plus shows. Although I will say that, what is it? Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's
first episode. We'll see what happens.
It's pretty not good. might get better. So anyways, all right, game show, man.
Game show. If you could go on a game show, which game show?
Not going on Jeopardy.
Not?
Not.
Because you would not make any money.
I would not make any money.
I could end up
I don't want to be embarrassed.
Negative amount of money.
Do not want to be embarrassed.
I would do Price is Right.
Price is Right.
I think that'd be really fun. I'd enjoy it.
I could see you on that. You got like they screen who they pick.
Oh, 100%.
Like big personalities, loud. You got the voice, man. You got.
I do have the voice. It's true. I would have to act very excited in the line.
Do you have like a bidding strategy? Like what you're gonna bid on an item?
I do not have a strategy based on the. I just
You should get one if you're gonna go on it.
Well, yes. Before I go on it, I will study prices.
How about you, Drew? Game show.
So, the reasonable side of me says deal or no deal, if it's still on. You know what I'm talking about? Briefcases,
yeah, I don't
pick
know
the
if it's still
briefcases.
on. I mean, they keep bringing all the old ones back right now. It's like,
so deal or no deal. But I would also, except for there's so many reasons why I would not want to be on this show, but Fear Factor.
Fear Factor, dude. The eating would you if
No.
you.
I
know, I would not.
No, you would not do that.
And they did one with snakes recently, and they did the roaches.
Is
and
it
rats.
still on?
I don't think so. Hey,
But it was recently on.
go
no?
to Universal Studios in Florida. They still have a Fear Factor show, and you can be on it. It was Sharon tried to convince me to be a part because they recruit guests to be a part of the show, and it's awful. Like, there's no way. They're like grinding up bugs. They're grinding up throw up. They're grinding up like Happy Meal items. like hamburgers into this shake that you then have to
Are you
eat.
talking about one challenge or are you talking about multiple challenges?
That was one challenge.
Bull.
Yeah. There was one challenge where the guy had to stick his head in a glass case.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just random dude spending his vacation at Universal Florida.
Were there
And
prizes?
Had to stick it. I don't know. Why? I don't know why you do this.
There has to be prizes.
So
if
he
there's
sticks
not.
his head in the glass case, and then they put scorpions on his head.
Dude, that's nice.
That's terrifying.
What could go wrong
and
with
then,
that?
and then they did snakes.
Yeah, snakes, man.
Rob would be out. I'd be out too.
I'm not a fan of snakes.
What about you,
Not gonna do
Roberto? Where are you going?
I like The Price is Right. I think that's a good one. It's pretty funny. I don't know if you watched. They brought it back as the old one. Let's Make a Deal.
Mm.
I mean, it doesn't seem. You have to dress up in something, but
Mm-hmm.
that. But I also like. I haven't watched a ton of it. I've seen it a few times.
The
but I
Masked
like.
Singer?
No, that would not happen because you're still gonna be like, oh, the Masked Dancer. Ellen's one. Is it Game of Games?
Oh yeah, Game of Games.
That's funny to watch. People on that one. That'd be
That's cool.
kinda
Twyla said that she would go to Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune.
That's probably choice
another
two.
one.
Choice two for me.
That's another one, yeah.
That's cool. Well, this is where we pivot to our topic of the day. You are what you consume. I think Robert said that in his message this week. So, question.
You think he definitely said that?
Glad he was
I
paying
don't-
attention.
I don't know.
Apparently, he was watching. He
I
had two
don't-
opportunities, but didn't pay that much attention.
I don't know if he's still associating with those words. Like, is he hanging on to those? I'm sure he is, but the
I do believe
question-
I said there's that saying out there that they say you are what you eat.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not pinning it down on him. But one thing that I do want to ask you guys though is, in your lifetimes, have you ever consumed something and it negatively impacted you, either physically, spiritually, mentally? Yeah, question. And for you guys at home, has that ever happened with you where you've consumed something, not necessarily food?
I don't. So it's interesting. Like, I still to this day do not want to eat this because last time I ate it, it wasn't because of that, but I got the stomach flu after it, and so it revisited, and so it's just kind of like, that's beef stroganoff. Just don't want it.
Mm.
I'm surprised. I thought
coming
we were
back.
going to talk about like spiritual things.
He said.
Rob goes with beef stroganoff.
I literally said, not necessarily about what you eat. And then Rob goes straight in
Hey,
on
I
the
like food, man.
When I was a child, I was probably 8-9 years old. Ate like a, I don't know why this was the case, but a BLT, and my mom had put Thousand Island dressing on it, and it was not good. It came back. I couldn't eat Thousand Island dressing for years afterward. That.
Do you eat it now?
Huh?
Will you eat it now?
I can't eat it now. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was probably college. Probably talking college before I could eat it again.
Necessity.
But taking it back to like the actual question that you asked, and not the question that Rob
we don't really
answered.
listen to his questions.
I can tell the difference. I can definitely tell the difference that I'm affected by the things that I'm listening to or engaging with or consuming. Especially like I really enjoy rock and roll. And if I'm listening to very aggressive rock music while I'm driving,
Screamo?
I can 100%. I do not listen to Screamo. But I used to in college. But I can definitely tell.
He started listening to classical now. as he
Definitely
drives.
can tell that I have a different. There's
Classical
a difference
music.
in my driving if I'm listening to rock and roll while I'm driving.
I would go to answer your question.
You're so frustrated. When did the batteries die?
When you saw me get up. Hey, so before Rob roasts me about this, the batteries died. We're so sorry, but we're back.
What was your question?
The last time you consumed something and it negatively impacted you, spiritually, physically, mentally. Dave was talking about rock and roll. You had just started to say blah, blah, blah.
I was talking more. I feel like I could think of examples when maybe I don't consume something and I know it has that negative. So definitely, if I don't drink enough water and you go to exercise or run, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, you can just feel sluggish and you can deal with that. But it's like I said on Sunday, if I can sense my attitude go bad and just not maybe whether it's patience or even it's just that feeling of connection with the Lord when I'm not spending time reading or praying or even then it's not all I listen to, but worship music, kind of like Dave was saying, how music can have an effect on the attitude. And so I'd say it's when I sense the negative when I'm missing those things more than seeing something change by consuming something else.
Very cool. Yeah, I remember growing up, we're on the sort of music topic, and I would say until I was about 18, 19, really struggled with cursing. And I don't even know that I necessarily wanted to stop, like definitely wanted to not cuss at church. But when I decided to stop, it actually became difficult, because you're listening to music with a bunch of cursing in it. That became difficult. And so there was a pretty long period in time where it's just kind of like, not going to listen to music, with cursing in it. And, it definitely helped me go from the transition of just stop saying the words, but still thinking them, to eventually get to a place where I don't even necessarily think, like when I stub my toe, that's not the first word that comes to my mind. And so it probably is a contribution to trying to listen to cleaner music.
I'll say for me, I gave my life to Christ when I was 14, and it was a pretty dramatic salvation for me. Like, I was not doing great things before I gave my life to Christ. I was starting to dabble in drugs and different types of stuff. But Jesus saved me out of that. And there was a period, probably, I think it was 15, 16. So I've been trying to build my relationship with Christ for a while, and just felt convicted that the music that I was listening to was actually affecting my life, and just felt like God was asking me to give up secular music for a while. And I gave it up from that point, so probably 15 or 16, and would not listen to secular music until I was in college. And do I think everybody needs to do that? No. Do I think that do I think that maybe I took that further than it needed to go? Probably. But like, it really had a very clear effect on my walk with the Lord. I think it was the right thing that I needed to do, and I think it really helped me maintain that relationship a lot better than I would have if I hadn't been watching the things that I was putting into my life.
That's cool. What do you guys think in general, secular music? What sort of place, what sort of space should it occupy in a Christian's life? Should it not? What does that look like for you guys? How should people handle it, not handle it? Illicit music, explicit music, what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's got a bunch of bad language in it, I think if the song itself is very explicit in what it's talking about, whether that be sexual, whether it be violence, I kind of would go, I don't necessarily see the value in that. Now, not all secular music's that way, but there's definitely some that is. And so I think you've got to, figure that out, like, what am I comfortable with? And I think that's kind of like we talked on Sunday, so often though we're always looking at, well, what is okay, and we're kind of looking away from Christ, going, where's that line? Where do I cross that line? When does it become wrong? Where I think if the intent and the focus is always on Jesus, that kind of maybe doesn't become such an issue. I find that for myself, like if my focus is on Jesus, I'm far more going to listen to music that is uplifting in that area, and maybe even like worship music. And obviously Christian music's come a long way over the years. And so for me, I find if my focus is really where I want it to be, and this is me, again, it's not for everybody, but I'm more inclined to just kind of listen to like the worship stuff that I have rather than other stuff. And so it's when I've just found that, so the focus is there. I'm not going, well, is this one okay to listen to? I just don't even necessarily have such a desire to listen to it.
Okay.
I would say for me, obviously I took a long period where I didn't listen to secular music, but now I think it's just, for me, I have to make sure that I'm being aware of what I consume. And so for me, like I have I've made like covenants. I've made deals with myself about what I feel like is the best way for me to walk in my life and to start out my day and have a good day. And so for me, like I've just made a commitment to myself that when I start the day, when I get into my car, and the first thing that I listen to will always be the Bible. I was struggling getting daily Bible reading in when I was commuting 10 years ago. And this was just a commitment that I made to myself that really helped me get past that hump. Like that I could, when I start a vehicle, I'm going to drive every day. If the first thing I listen to is always the Bible, I will listen to the Bible. Mm-hmm. I'll be able to put that into my life, put God's word into my life on a regular basis, and it's something that's really worked well for me. But I've also made, because even beyond that, so the Bible, daily Bible reading probably takes, and I'm on a through the Bible in a year plan, takes 15 minutes, 17 minutes usually to listen to the section of the Bible and listen to that day. And any time, so before noon, like I'm just really conscious about that I'm probably going to be listening to worship music. Just because for me, like I want to make sure that when I am starting off my day, that I'm starting it off in that right foot and trying to be conscious of the things that I'm consuming. It's like, I've also trying to lose weight at the moment and trying to go through that. I have to be, if I want to continue that process, I have to be really conscious of the things that I'm consuming as I'm going through that. And so those are the kind of things for me. But like aside from that, like I do listen to secular music. I have playlists that I enjoy. You just heard me, I enjoy rock and roll. And so I do listen to other things, but I'm super intentional about making sure that those other things aren't everything that I'm listening to. And I also really like to pick and choose the times of the day where I listen to what I'm listening to, depending on the time of the day.
I think everybody's different too, because like I have never been one that's always like big into music. Even as a kid, like my brother was always far more into who was current and popular, and I was just like, he was listening to the radio back in the day, making mixtapes and all that kind of stuff, and I was just like, just never really bothered me. I mean, if music was on, cool, but at the same time, I was just like,
you weren't seeking it out.
No, and that's how I am still now. Like, it doesn't necessarily bother me a ton.
Yeah, definitely. I think for myself, I would say I have a probably pretty healthy dose of secular music. I try to, I don't know if this is like you guys, but you kind of have, for me, like the albums that you always go back to, like, and the new music that you consume. Like we turn on the radio today and I hear my kids, sing along to the songs. I'm like, I don't even know who these artists are, but from like middle school to high school, like, man, I just watched those. I just listen to those albums all the time. Anyways, with that being said, I definitely am super conscious of what's going in, with the one caveat of during working out, just to be like honest. So so either on a run or at the gym, and I don't have control over whatever the music is being played. I would say that's probably the space and time where the music probably isn't like the greatest consumption. But yeah, I would say that that's kind of where I am. The interesting thing is am super conscious of, like what are my kids listening to, and making sure that it isn't altering my mind state in the sense of like, these people are talking about money and all I want is money, or these people are talking about cars and all I want is cars, sort of deal. But yeah, and so I know that there's probably quite a few people that just in general, just have that, are thinking about that question: is it okay for Christians to listen to secular music? And so,
yeah, and just to kind of finish it, I do think it's okay. I think that you as a Christian are responsible for the things you consume and how it's affecting you, and that you need to take ownership of that and control, and try to set up, just make sure that you are listening to things that are building your faith to an extent. Like, that doesn't have to be everything you listen to, but like it matters. You should be making sure that you are putting things into your life that are building your faith.
Very cool. And then just kind of one last question for you guys, and we would love to hear your guys' opinion about music, and what you kind of do when it comes to secular music and or Christian music, and then your consumption. Do you not consume those sort of different things? But yeah, just taking it one more step deeper, what do you guys feel like are triggers that are out there in the world that people will consume, and then it will lead to, sin? What do you guys think? Because music feels like it can be way more of a like water dripping down a canyon and making a groove, where there might be some immediate things to stay away from that almost always lead to sin, like death traps that we need to avoid. What are some things that maybe we just have become commonplace, but we need to avoid them?
Yeah, Dave.
Well, there's a super like obvious ones. Like, I think that
I mean, don't watch the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones without your button on that fast forward button. So
yeah, for sure.
like, I mean, there's definitely content that is out there that a large portion of your friends and the people that you care about are going to listen to, and you as a Christian, it's probably not helpful. And so, I think that's a really good question to ask. Are the things that you are listening to, are they helpful?
Yeah, because
or are they taking you away from?
Yeah, because Game of Thrones is one of those things where lots of people watch it, but it seems like it is caught on like wildfire among Christians for whatever reason. Maybe it's just really great, sort of deal. But that is one of those ones where it's just kind of like, as great as the show may be, it has a lot of crazy stuff in it. So with that being said, like, how do we handle that as a potential pitfall or trigger when it seems like it's just commonplace that people just watch it and they consume it, and it's just like, what? So what? There's a little bit of nudity in every killing of some sort.
Yeah, I think though, obviously every person's different, and what one person may struggle with may not be what I struggle with. What I struggle with obviously may not be what somebody else struggles with. And so you definitely, if you want to look at this, like obviously on Sunday we were talking about trying to be holy, we've got to know where our temptations really come, where it is those personal struggles are. And so like, let's say somebody's struggling with alcohol and drinking, and they have this issue like they turn to that. That's their escape. Well, you got to identify why you're escaping to it. Is it boredom? Is it loneliness? Is it like you're feeling sad? And so what are those things that maybe trigger that? Like you were saying, Jarrell, like, is there something that makes you feel that? Like if you're listening to a certain kind of music and it puts you into more of a depressive state, and that then says, hey, I'm going to start drinking now that I feel this way. In some ways, the easy thing to say is, well, don't listen to that music. If you know you struggle with pornography and lust, don't put yourself where it's kind of like, again, it's where's that gray area? Is this acceptable? Is it not? Don't even be looking for the gray area. Don't even allow yourself to go there. Don't allow yourself to be on devices in private settings. Don't, or that nobody can check on. And so you have to kind of come up with what it is for you and really identifying that. And again, it takes discipline. It's going to take a commitment on your part, in my opinion, to figure out what that looks like and how do I do those things.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think and I think that's the key. You have to find the areas where you're weak and stay away from them.
Yeah.
Like just walk away from them. Build boundaries that keep you away from them. Like your phone. If you struggle with pornography, like it's very possible for your wife or your spouse or a really good friend to lock your phone down so you can't get to that stuff. It could be frustrating. Like my phone is locked down, and there are times where the content filters filter out things that are perfectly okay. Like there's no, like for some reason, like I get this email, it's called All Pro Dad. It's like Tony Dungy's thing, and they have really good parenting tips. And so I read the email, but you don't get the whole article in the email, so you have to click it and to read the rest of the article. I'm like, I'm really interested in that. I can't read them on my phone. I have no idea why, but it's under the content restriction. Tony Dungy, let's fix this. Come on, brother. But like that's a minor frustration that I get to put up with because I've struggled with that in the past and I don't want to struggle with it anymore. And so there are ways for you to set boundaries up that's not just, oh man, I'm screwed up again. I'll do better next time. Fix it. Don't consume the things that lead you down those paths.
Yeah, I think you gotta. This is the challenge. This is the hard thing. I think we are so good at rationalizing and justifying sin or why we do something. We can look at it and say, well, it's because this happened that led me to do this, and so it kind of almost excuses it. And I think we've got to. There has to be this desire in us to really turn away from sin. Jesus in the Gospels, you see him with the man at the pool, and it's like, I can't get into the pool because, it bubbles. I've got nobody helps me get in. I can't get there. And Jesus says to him, well, do you want to get well? And I think that's something we have to wrestle with as believers. Do we really want to be made well? Do we really want to be free from sin or an addiction, whatever that is really keeping us from having a solid relationship? Because a lot of times I think we know it's not right, but we continue to justify, well, it's not really doing that much damage, it's not truly hurting me, and we're not fully committed to breaking away from it. It's still got a strong hold on us, it's still got a grip on us and trying to hold us there. And so we've got to, in that pursuit of holiness, we've got to be able to break through. And it's tough. I mean, I've got things in my life that I can struggle with that it's easy to, let the mind go there, or to say this, or to treat somebody this way, or whatever. You gotta want to get rid of it, and so I think it takes that commitment on the front end.
For sure. So yeah, if you're just joining us, we had some people log on. Yeah, we're just talking about some triggers that are out in the world, that are pitfalls potentially in our relationship with Christ. I will say one that I think that we almost just kind of overlook, and it's actually just either kind of funny or whatever, but it's like Amazon. Amazon's a trigger. Oh my. And if it's you, because that's definitely me, where you won't need, or maybe Target's your thing. But like, that you don't need anything, but you were on there and you're just shopping and you're just kind of filling this materialistic need. And there's jokes, there's memes about it, all these different things. But it definitely is one of those things that if you like struggle with self-control, greed, materialism, any of those things, don't necessarily find yourself just window shopping all of the time. You're just going to make things, a lot harder for you. And so I can definitely tell when I'm in those seasons, and it almost feels like if I don't buy it, it's going to overtake you. Like it's the thing that you're thinking about, and if you don't get it, it's just one more, two more, three more days, and then until you finally get it. And then when I realized that it was a problem is when you buy that thing and then you develop that same interest again in something else pretty quickly. So it wasn't like that thing ever satisfied. It just literally made another hole for something else to fill.
Well, I think that's good. I think Amazon's definitely good. And then coming back around to like why do we care? Like why do we care about holiness? I mean, Jesus did tell us to be holy like he's holy. That should be reason that we care. But I mean, coming back to it, like all of these things they're things that come between us and our relationship with God. And so we're adding stuff into our lives that is putting separation between us and our relationship with God. Jesus said that if you love me, you'll obey my commands. And a lot of times we look at it like if we mess up, a pastor that I really like talks about this a lot. We look at it from the perspective of if we mess up, then we must not love Jesus. Instead of the perspective that I think is the right way to look at it, that if we truly love Jesus, if we truly work on that relationship with Jesus, then obeying his commands will come it'll become like second nature.
That's good.
Jarrell is focused on something.
No, I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Hey, yes.
TJ Maxx.
Yes.
I know it's a problem.
Twyla.
Monica,
Sugar.
You brought up Amazon. You're now blocked.
Twyla, this is the crazy thing. Sugar, oh my gosh. Sugar has a stranglehold on 99.9% of the American population, if not everywhere else. Curry's, yes, Buc-ee's is a very tempting place.
That's got everything.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
hey, those chopped brisket sandwiches are delicious.
They're so good. Hey, well, if you did not catch last week's sermon, you can do that either on Facebook, right underneath this post, or on YouTube if that's where you're watching from. Rob's talking about holiness, and it's a really good sermon. And so if you find yourself looking at your sin instead of looking towards Jesus, man, he just provides some really practical ways that we can really kind of keep our eyes focused on Jesus. But we've got something coming up soon. What is that, guys?
Soon.
It's like a
week and a half away.
It's like a Christian holiday.
Easter.
Easter is upon us. Yeah, we got Easter. It's not this Sunday. This Sunday is Palm Sunday. Dave will be wrapping up our series, but then the following week is Easter. And so we kind of sat down and figured, hey, what does that look like in this season? Obviously, we're still wrestling with COVID and services and how many do you do? So we actually are just going to have the two services, 9:30 and 11. And so we're really hoping you invite some folks to come. We've got space, and looking forward to just really celebrating what Jesus has done for us. I mean, it's like the Super Bowl of church, right? It really is. We think about it, and so we're excited for it, and it's going to be good.
And just as a part of that celebration, you're going to get a nice treat on your way out the door.
Hey, on the way out, you want to be here.
You do want to be here. It's going to be great. The statistic, I share this a lot when I'm talking about Easter from the platform as we're talking about it, doing announcements and stuff like that. But I think it's really powerful that they did this survey, and 80% of people who had friends that were Christians and didn't have a church home said that if one of their friends asked them to go to church with them, they would say yes on Easter and on Christmas.
Yep.
And I think, this is just people are thinking about church. They're thinking about things as they get into Easter. And so I think if you have somebody on your mind, if God has put them on your heart as someone to invite, I think it's a great opportunity.
And I think this weekend we should have a little invite card.
Yes, we will have some invite cards.
To even make that a little simpler. And just be able to say, hey, I'd love for you to join us if you can. So it's going to be good.
Cool. Well, hey, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
Got another question for you guys.